I don't know about you guys, but it would drive me crazy if I lived somewhere where singing was the way of communicating.
That you didn't imagine your life would be like High School Musical when you were younger?
No. I desperately wanted it not to be.
You found the lost holocron.
Hello there. You found the lost Holocron, an ancient artifact of lore and legends from a galaxy far, far away. Each episode of the Lost Holocron, you will join an episodic discussion of media from the Star Wars universe. We will be your guides, Tim.
Hey!
Me, Kyle. Scott.
What's that?
And Stuart.
G'day.
Today we're covering the material up to and including Chapter 6 of Heir to the Empire. Tim, what happened so far?
Oh my goodness, there are so many story threads, and it's only Chapter 6, Kyle. So, this is 5 years after the Empire's defeat over Endor and Return of the Jedi. And unbeknownst to the New Republic, Imperial Warlord Grand Admiral Thrawn has been taking strides and collecting tools and technology left by the late Emperor Palpatine to aid in his plan to retake territory from, and ultimately destroy, the New Republic. After a parley with smugglers Talon, Karrde, and Jade to collect ysalamir, Thrawn weaponizes their obscure ability to create voids in the Force so that he can neutralize a Dark Jedi clone named Joruus C'baoth and negotiate his allegiance by offering him Leia's unborn twins. Meanwhile on Coruscant, political infighting seems to be stalling the establishment of structured governance within the Council of the New Republic. Despite personal growing pains, numerous responsibilities, and logistical issues, Han, Leia, and now Luke are assigned a diplomatic mission to Bimmisaari. Luke, it seems, has been requested to join them last minute.
Thank you. And Scott, you want to summarize the chapter for us?
So, Chapter 6, Han and Leia travel with Luke and C-3PO to the planet Bimmisaari on a diplomatic mission to negotiate the terms of the BIM joining the New Republic. Leaving Chewbacca and R2-D2 on the Millennium Falcon, the four of them are treated to a brief greeting ceremony. However, before they can arrive at the planetary government, news arrives that the key negotiator for the BIM has suddenly taken ill. Luke and Han are invited to inspect relics of the Old Republic, while Leia is shown around the market, but a suspicious Han decides to join Leia instead. His suspicions prove true when they find themselves encircled by numerous armed individuals of an alien species they don't recognize.
Oh no.
Even though they don't recognize the aliens, it should be clear from the description that this is supposed to be the Noghri.
That's what I thought.
Oh,
That's
I
what I thought.
wondered.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I just thought they were grays because they were described as short, steel gray skin, black eyes, protruding jaw. I just thought they were grays.
Oh.
I just pictured little gray men with staffs.
I kind of thought the Noghri were a lot taller, but it says like that they were kind of short like the rest of the crowd of the BIMs.
They were pretty short in Jedi Academy.
They were, that's true. They were.
Yeah.
I think we get the same description of Rook in the first chapter.
Yeah.
The Leon goes into meet Thrawn for the first time that we meet him. That he has dark eyes, protruding jaw, a nightmare in the dimness. Short, wiry creature, less than half a meter away.
That's right, short and wiry.
Yeah.
Like a Bothan.
Yeah.
Like a Jack Russell Terrier.
Ruff, ruff.
I enjoyed that this chapter started with Han was like kind of got under Luke and Leia for having like a moment, and he's like, I don't like it because it feels like I'm only hearing half a conversation. Then cut to Leia not being able to understand Wookiee, which is something that Han and Chewbacca just talk about to each other constantly.
Oh,
I didn't catch that detail either.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Good catch, Kyle.
Wow. Damn.
Like that's like I just thought it was funny that he's calling her out or calling them out for that, and it's just like that's just what he does constantly.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah. My goodness. That Han. Whatever.
I like the description as well that's given, that even if some of the words are less distinct than others, the overall meaning comes through. And as somebody who has learned a foreign language, that's exactly the way that it happens, is that you start picking up on stuff. And really the best way to be learning a language is to try and get overall meanings before you worry about the details, because you're going to be put in tons of situations that you just don't know what's going on. And unless you can kind of read the room a little bit about what people are wanting or what direction the conversation is heading, like, you're going to learn a language extremely slow.
Mm-hmm. That's how I got through my French class in college pretty easily, because I had one test where I had to have like a whole 5-10 minute conversation one-on-one with the teacher.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just got through it by picking up on what she might have been asking about based on things that I had been saying, or like reading her tone of voice.
Okay.
And I think I fooled her, as far as I know.
Yeah, I wish my wife could speak more Tagalog, because she grew up in that environment, but she's forgotten most of it. And I just thought it would be so cool for her to teach my kids, but oh well. I'm kind of teaching myself here and there, but it's mostly just like vocabulary.
What is Tagalog?
It's one of the languages from the Philippines.
Oh, one of the languages.
It's the more popular. It's like the most popular. It's the third most spoken language in California, if you didn't know that.
Really?
Oh, really?
Did not expect that. All right, guys, I have a particular beef to bring up with Timothy Zahn in this chapter.
Get him.
Okay, I'm ready and willing to defend his honor.
Why, oh why do we keep sidelining Chewbacca? Does he just not know how to write him well?
I guess, because he kind of makes up the fact that Chewie doesn't like getting pawed at, which I thought was an interesting word of choice, interesting choice of words, because Chewie has
Pause, yeah.
hairy hands, paws, I guess. I don't know. But
Wookiees seem to be pretty dexterous, so I wouldn't be surprised if they had multiple opposable thumbs.
Yeah.
But I know they got human hands.
Maybe it's just a thing where he doesn't want to have to write for Chewbacca. He doesn't want to have to think about what Chewbacca's inner monologue is.
Yeah.
I would love to know Chewbacca's inner monologue.
I think, yeah, it's... he's been sidelined for that reason exactly, is that his contribution is difficult to add to the story. And I guess if you look at the original trilogy as well, Chewie's presence is just that. It's just presence. It's not vocal. It's a little bit of punctuation maybe.
Yeah.
But it's mostly to be physically imposing and, I don't know, get violent if things need to be.
Right.
do what Wookiees do.
Yeah. It would have been interesting to see how Chewbacca reacts to the Nogri showing up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he would have smelt them? Because Wookiees have a better sense of smell. They would have smelled him before they showed, before everybody else would recognize.
Probably.
I think, yeah.
He probably would have put up a decent fight too, and then that would have been quite an interesting plot development. But yeah,
He could have been a liability if he had started, throwing fists around.
Started throwing bibs around.
Swing him around.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's not the biggest thing in the world. That just kind of like bugged me again.
Yeah.
I can't believe this, that he had to lock it up behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a whole space universe, and they've got ships that literally fly through space, but they've got no external locking systems on their spacecraft.
It's funny because their technology is like, parts of their technology is super advanced, parts of it's really outdated.
Yeah.
No, Chewie, you have to stay on the ship so you can lock it from the inside.
They don't have key fobs.
Yeah.
In the 90s, did they have those clicker, the beepers for cars already?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this wasn't the 90s. This was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Right, okay.
Well, yeah. I feel like they could have had some kind of Bluetooth technology. some kind of remote technology, something. They have communicators. Why don't they have like remote?
I do think it's interesting how the development of our technology influences technology in Star Wars. Like how in Rogue One, the data they were stealing was on a hard drive, a literal hard drive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder. It makes me wonder, like, what kind of modern technology is going to be in the High Republic. But it's almost like if it existed back then, why doesn't it exist now? It's like
Right.
it goes backwards.
Because Star Wars isn't real, Scott.
Theoretically.
Theoretically.
I could do that thing that fantasy usually does, where it's like, oh, there was a civilization a long time ago that had better technology, but they were lost, and the technology was lost with it.
Mm.
Kind of like how wasn't it? Who had the concrete that we can't replicate?
The Romans,
The
Roman
Romans?
concrete.
Romans, yeah.
That
Oh, I
is
didn't know that.
actually the explanation for hyperdrives in Star Wars. Nobody knows how they work, but it's just technology left over from
Yeah, wasn't it a Ricotta technology?
which doesn't exist at this point in history.
Right.
When was Knights of the Old Republic first released?
2003.
2003. Okay, so still another 12 years later.
Yeah.
Speaking of technology, and the Nogri showing up, these Stockley sticks, like, insane. The firepower on these things that shoots a spray net mist 200 meters. And
Yeah.
anybody in the US who doesn't know what 200 meters is, it's, what, 1,000 feet?
Don't mess with a Nogri.
Yeah, how far away do you need to throw a net over somebody?
Clearly 1,000 feet away.
But I kind of got the impression it was like Spider-Man webbing, kind of like spraying out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is spray net? Because I don't know what that is.
or like silly string.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's some sort of silly string that hardens into a webbing.
Like the liquid cable shooters in Phantom Menace.
Oh, okay.
Liquid cable
Oh.
seems to be a pretty common thing in Star Wars.
Oh, that's really cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's exactly like Spider-Man's web shooters, right?
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if that's a bit of erratum that's made it through all the editions, is that it's supposed to be 20 meters, because that seems reasonable for what is ostensibly
Yeah.
a melee weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, 200 meters is really far.
You know,
Really is.
unless it's supposed to be a kind of shock stick / sniper rifle.
Sniper silly string.
Everyone tries to capture targets by sniping them. You know what? Now that I say that, why don't they try to do that?
Capturing by shooting them with a 50 cal bullet.
No, if you have a capture weapon that has a sniper rifle's range,
Oh yeah.
that's pretty overpowered. You could get anyone.
Oh, that's kind of what like sleeping dogs are for.
Right, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
The dart gun from Jurassic Park that like instantly knocks him out. It's like, how does the venom get to the system that fast?
Yeah, those are pretty intense weapons.
When they get to the city, they demand that they hand their weapons over. I think that's always stupid. I hate when
Yeah.
like, oh, we don't have any weapons. There's hundreds of things that can be used as weapons, and this is like to say
Right.
there are no weapons here. I don't believe you. That's a lie. Someone has a weapon here.
Maybe they were lying to them.
Yeah, because it seems
Yeah.
like this is the trap.
I feel like it was a setup.
Yeah, it's a big setup,
Yeah.
this whole chapter.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that they didn't make Luke take his lightsaber down or put the lightsaber back. It's almost like, they may have not, our discussion about, did anybody really know about the Jedi? Like, were the Jedi well known through the galaxy? Maybe they just didn't know what a lightsaber was. Or something I was thinking of, because it sounded like they had weapons detectors. It would be kind of cool, and this is just my idea, but it would be cool, like if the Kyber crystal could almost hide itself or shield itself from weapons detectors.
Oh.
Yeah. That That would be a neat idea. I don't know if it's established what kind of crystal Luke is using at this point, because I mean, kyber crystals are canon. Scott, you and I have talked about crystals a lot. You know I like kyber crystals a lot. But if this is Legends, then he'd be using a synthetic crystal.
That's true.
But this is 1991 Legends.
Yeah.
So what was Timothy Zahn imagining?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is an interesting detail that they wouldn't take Luke's lightsaber.
I think I like the explanation that the book gives in that it's ceremonial. It seems ceremonial. It seems part of the attire. And that's why...
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And this species seemed like they were very... they held ceremony and tradition in very high regard.
True, yeah.
Yeah. Particularly their own language is sung. It didn't seem like anybody speaks that. Like, it is a tonal language to the point of you seeing absolutely everything.
Yeah. And I think that's probably why I thought they were birds.
Yeah, right. What is the description of them? Because I remember there being like a lot of yellow.
Yellow, and they're
they were wearing yellow.
Half-furred. It describes them in both chapters, the previous chapter and this chapter. Han kind of laments, I don't want to have to penetrate the psychology of a half-sized, half-furred alien. And then we get the half-furred description as well on the first page, I believe.
Yeah. That's probably what I was thinking of, too.
I don't know about you guys, but it would drive me crazy if I lived somewhere where singing was the way of communicating.
Yeah, it's right next door to the Footloose town.
May the force be with you.
You found the lost holocron.
You didn't imagine your life would be like High School Musical when you were younger?
No. I desperately wanted it not to be.
From the Wikipedia description, they almost looked like they were cat-like. The photo that they had on here.
Oh, I need to look at that.
I think where you might have got your bird imagery from was that at some point that they're described as when they're touching the procession as it's going through the crowd, it's touched with like a feathery lightness.
Maybe that's what it was, yeah.
That might have contaminated your mental image there.
That could be.
They don't actually have feathers. It's just the way in which they were being poured at.
That's right. They were really touchy-feely too, which further cements that I would really hate living there.
In the fan thing that we've been watching, I can't wait to see how they're depicted in that.
Oh, yeah. For anyone tuning in, there's a fan film of Heir to the Empire that I have been watching alongside us reading chapter by chapter. The person who made it, their channel is Darth Angelus, Angelus, so check it out.
So on the Wikipedia, the BIM, there's almost like a human type species, and then there's like a cat-like species.
Right, I'm looking at it now. It says the native species is furred BIM, and the immigrated ones are near human BIM, including humans, which is really interesting.
Do you think it's a kind of interbreeding situation, or what's going on there?
I think it's maybe like an immigration type situation, like humans came to the planet and then just kind of like integrated into the society.
They really, really liked the cat people.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if any of you watched The Orville.
I saw the first episode and then I couldn't get into it, but I've heard it's really good, so maybe I'll give it another shot.
In one of the newest episodes that just came out, the race of aliens that is kind of like the enemy of the people. Like, it's found out that one of the humans has interbred with it and has produced offspring, and it's I think it's fascinating because it's two completely different species, and it's but like it looks half human, half crow, is what they're called.
A crewman?
Yeah.
They do describe several species here. Baratus, an Ishitibib, a group of Yuzumi, as well as humans, and something that vaguely looks like a Payanid. So these are all. It seems quite multicultural as well, which is why Leia thinks that it would be a good addition to the New Republic.
Right,
Yeah.
she did mention that.
I
Yeah.
should say that.
And before we get onto that, I did want to ask you guys, we don't spell human with a capital H, right? If you go and talk about human beings and
No.
cats and dogs, that's all lowercase, right? Those aren't proper nouns.
Right.
But in the book, whenever they mention any alien creatures, I haven't picked it up for human being with a capitalized, but all these alien species have been capitalized. What do you feel about that convention?
My first thought is, are the people in Star Wars referred to as human?
Yeah, humans are definitely regarded as human.
Humans are humans, right? Just like Zabraks are Zabraks, and
Okay, and then second, I think it's normal. I think it's just it's there's multiple species out there.
I have noticed that it's typically based on the planet name, so it's like an extension of it. But then that also raises the question: well, isn't a human from Iridonia also Iridonian?
Right.
So that's
okay.
There's probably a fair amount of culture wars on every Star Wars planet then.
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
So you think that like human is human as a species, but then these people are being identified as a cultural subgroup, like American, Australian, Japanese is capitalized?
Potentially, yeah. My thought process was like, the first thing was like, oh yeah, I mean they're from that planet, so yeah, of course they're going to be named that. But then, why doesn't that also include humans? So that was basically my thought process.
So maybe we're doing it wrong, and we should be capitalizing humans.
Yeah. But then there would have to be a planet called Huma or something. That we all came from.
Well, maybe just our convention is wrong.
Yeah. Well, maybe it is, yeah.
In the Wikipedia page under their entry for human, they have different races as like Alderaanians, Corellians, Happens. So basically, like from where they're from.
Gotcha. So is it just humans that get to be named by different cultures? Or planets as well?
I wonder. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's this one bit of dialogue, this one situation in Knights of the Old Republic 2 that you can come across where there's an Ithorian. And if you interact with them in a certain way, you eventually find out they're part of a secret group called the Ithorian Supremacy League.
What?
Yikes.
Yeah. For the well, I mean, it's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But I mean, looking at what seems to be like a fair bit of privilege that the human species gets in Star Wars, I'm kind of like, you know what? I get it. I get why you feel that way.
So here's something else about the Zabrak. It actually says subspecies for Dathomirian and Iridonian for Zabrak.
Oh,
okay.
Interesting. No, that's a very good example because that's like two different planets mentioned.
Yeah. Whereas humans are humans, I guess, regardless of what planet they're from. But I guess other species could be subspecies or other, I guess, races, I guess.
I thought there was a kind of like normalization going on of humans, that despite there being a large number of alien races in the Star Wars universe, that humans constitute like 60 to 70% of the total galactic population. And so because they are the most numerous, there is a kind of normalization happening that if you are human, you're normal. But if you're a Twi'lek, then you are, other, in the same way that we other genders in our world, that we have a normalization that an emoji is male unless specified as female, which is really fucking stupid, really.
Yeah.
Is that a normalization?
Yeah, because like there's no difference between like you go to a bathroom stall, right? There is a stick figure for a man. There is nothing on there showing that it is male or female, but the normal is to default the stick figure to man, and that a triangle it indicates female. But like, you know, men can wear kilts, men can wear
Yeah.
skirts.
Women can wear pants.
Yeah.
Any amount of clothes that you can put on a human doesn't change their gender or their identity. And the fact that we normalize the something to male, just it seems like a little bit the same thing in this universe of like human is just the default. And
Yeah.
I get that too, yeah.
there seems to be a little bit of privilege going on there. So yeah, I can see why the Ithorians are looking for some.
Yes. Anyway, I just signed up for the Ithorian Supremacy League to help fight against this.
Is there a form online or?
Yes, there is. It's on 4chan.
Of course. Where else would it be?
Tim, before we go away from that, is that on which planet is that on? Where can I find that storyline?
That's on Nar Shaddaa.
Nar Shaddaa. Okay, I'll go.
If you go to the docks, there's I believe his name is Lasavu, and you help him with cryogenic power cells. And I don't know how exactly you get to that dialogue. I think you have to do some kind of dark side thing to agitate him. But eventually he'll just be like, I am part of the Ithorian Supremacy League. You can't treat me like this. We are the superior species.
Oh.
Such a random, unexpected thing, but it's so funny.
This is in KOTOR?
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic too.
Okay.
Yeah.
One small thing that I really enjoyed in this chapter was the exclamation "Good skies."
Oh, yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very good one.
Yeah.
I got real great Scott vibes from it.
I feel like that's one thing that is very consistent and makes something feel Star Wars to me is these kind of exclamations and cursing that takes place in the universe. That they don't say, oh my God, or go to hell, or anything like that. That these phrases are changed to make them feel familiar, yet they're of a different culture.
And then they have completely unique ones like Karrde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dank Ferric. That one's actually really fun. I love that one. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
In I think it's Jedi Academy, Kyle Katarn says Sith spit.
Right. Yeah, that was such a fun one.
In the Knights of the Old Republic as well, they say Sith blood as well. In the Republic, they say Sith blood. None of the Sith blood, actually.
I like Sith spit more.
Yeah, I think in the Legacy, Star Wars Legacy novels, or graphic novels, I think he says Karst.
Karsk?
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah, I could see myself saying that in real life. Karsk.
Karsk. I think I got the impression that was supposed to be kind of like our F-bomb.
I think Star Wars is best when it reminds you of our world, but is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The things that strike all the right balance are always my favorite details in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
As compared to just straight up having hot chocolate.
Yeah, that still bugs me.
Yeah.
I like to think about how our culture and our ideas might change in the future when we become spacefaring or at least extraplanetary as a species. That there's going to be less. Well, you never know. Maybe more religiosity, but like more creativity, maybe, or I don't know.
Creativity in the media or portrayal of fictional worlds?
No. I mean, like how our perspective of the world will change. So that we're not going to say go to hell, but instead we're going to curse someone and say go to Mercury. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Go to Uranus.
Yeah. That's the most low-hanging of the planet humor, but it always hits. Yeah. So, yeah, this chapter felt like it was setting up quite a bit of action to me.
Tim, you mentioned in previous chapters a concept that you call plot blocking. Would you like to explain that? Because I'm still not exactly sure what you mean by that concept.
Yes. So what I mean by that concept is when I think that stories tend to mine the most tension and create the most engaging conflict if you have characters if you make it clear to the audience what a character's motivation is and what they're trying to do. And I think when you're having characters who are hiding their motivations from other characters within the story, it is very possible that you might accidentally hide that motivation from the audience as well in a way that gives them nothing to latch onto or read on. What that does is, for the audience perspective, is stall all the tension. You just witness events. You don't know how it's going to affect things, and so therefore you don't know if there's anything you should fear about what's going to happen, because you don't know how these pieces or characters moving affects the dynamics at play or puts our protagonists into danger.
Okay.
And so that's what I mean by the concept of plot blocking. A recent example is in Kenobi, where I feel like they were just hiding a lot of characters' motivations without giving us any indication, and it happened in a way that I think made us not understand what events meant within the show.
Right.
And so I think it made it quite dull.
Do you think that pulls down the quality of media, of entertainment?
I think it does, yeah.
From our conversations, when you've mentioned this before, what I had in mind was when there are specific circumstances of resolution not being given to certain things, or that characters perform in ways that are purely for plot's sake. In that, if you just kind of like told the other person what was going on in this scene, rather than doing that, I've got an idea, and then run off, and all the other characters just have that moment of like looking at each other and being like, well, I guess we got to follow them. Like, that just feels like like plot stuffing almost. That it's just,
yeah, no, I know what you're getting at. Yeah,
that's what I had in mind when you've been talking about this before.
Yeah, no, there definitely is another word for that. Personally, I would call it inorganic motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just how. Yeah,
it feels like plot is just being made for the sake of padding, rather than any payoff being made for things that have already been established, or like, these characters' motivations are, of course, to do this thing. Why aren't they doing that thing in this scene?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and you could argue these are all just different forms of plot blocking as well.
Right.
I guess it just depends on what you're blocking. Are you blocking the natural flow of the story? Yes. The concept I describe is more, you're blocking any potential flow of the story.
Okay. Because I feel like in this scene, or in this chapter, things that have already been set up are starting to like give their dividends. That we have the introduction of the Nogri from their from previous chapters. We've known that they're assassins. We have been given a description that makes them identifiable in this chapter. We already have the kind of the ruffling of feathers in the political sphere, playing on Luke and Leia, not Luke and Leia, because Luke's not the perspective character in this chapter. Han and Leia. That their frustrations they have weight in these chapters, and stuff from previous chapters is paying off, and I feel like everything's being tied through very well. Everything's got a very clear direction that it's heading.
I agree. Yeah,
and connection from before.
It was actually hard to reach the end of this one, because I felt like you had gotten to the top of the first slope in the roller coaster, and then the car just started moving over, and then you just stopped. And I'm like, I want the rest of the momentum going. And well, to solve that, we just have to keep reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This chapter made me very excited for the next chapter.
Yeah.
Which I'm expecting we're going to jump straight to Luke's perspective and have him in the middle of the action of the Nogri on him, like Grey on Steel.
Yeah. I'm excited to see his perspective. Yeah. Because as soon as they mentioned the Old Republic artifacts, which still means something very, very different in this novel than my concept of just to think of Knights of the Old Republic. I know I really love the glimpses we see into what Zahn imagines things were, because again, this was written before the prequels existed. And so now I'm curious to see, what does he imagine? What is Luke going to look at?
When do you think the Middle Era is supposed to be? Like, how ancient is the Middle Era?
Oh man, that is such a good question, because my first instinct is to think of the High Republic, but that is a canon concept.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Tim, about
I would guess that that's about the time that the Middle Era might be.
Yeah.
But if the Republic is thousands of years old, maybe the Middle Era is not just like a 200-year time period, but like 600-year time period, maybe 400 years before this.
Yeah. There's so many interesting ways that I think that could be shown.
There's artifacts or relics mentioned from the middle of the Old Republic era. I was just kind of gonna get Tim's opinion on, like what he might think those were.
Oh, I have no clue. I'm just saying I'm excited to find out.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess there's going to be at least one Jedi artifact.
Yeah, cool. I would guess maybe a holocron, or maybe
a lost holocron.
This happens to be in this Bimmisaari.
Yeah,
that's where we are.
Yeah,
but yeah, I feel like that was a good honeypot for Luke to be pulled away from the group, because they were definitely like trying to split them up, as this was a big setup the whole time. And I feel like even the like narrative setup for this setup in the book was building on things that we already knew about going forward from previous chapters. But it seems a little bit of an oversight of like, oh yeah, Han's also going to be interested in these Middle Republic artifacts. He doesn't seem like a guy to go to a museum and be like, I'm quite interested in what happened 300 years ago.
They probably specifically wanted Leia to be separate, because Han's basically not anyone particularly important at the moment, even though he actually is. He has an important job.
I mean, they definitely wanted her by herself.
Yeah.
Because that's what Thrawn is after. He's after to capture her and then take her unborn children.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that's why they wanted to leave Chewbacca behind, because if they did just make them leave their weapons there, Wookiees are just formidable hand to hand. Like
he's a weapon in himself.
Right.
Yeah, but I forget, did they request that Chewbacca stay behind?
I'm sorry. I should have specified. When I said they, I mean Timothy Zahn.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It does kind of frustrate me when you start thinking about what did the writer want to do in this instance, or what are they wanting to look around, because it does distract from the story. But even then, like, I mean, I kind of didn't see the plot coming, because I really wanted to believe that the Bim were good people. Peaceful. Yeah.
See, I feel like Chewie stayed behind because this is a diplomatic mission. Everything about it was like diplomatic coding, and Wookiees aren't about pomp and ceremony. They're about, I don't know, swinging through the trees, yelling like Tarzan, and hand-to-hand combat. So
he's like, last time I was in a ceremony, I didn't even get a medal.
He did get a medal, though. He just refused.
I ain't waiting around to see if I'm going to get one this time either. So I feel like, we haven't seen a lot of Chewbacca so far, but I feel like his motivation for staying on the ship was like, I'm just going to be side-wheeled. I know that I'm going to be side-wheeled. There's chores that I need to catch up on in this household, and I need to count the ticking in
this RV.
Well, she said something.
In the RV,
I thought the RV. That's pretty much what it is. Flying Winnebago.
Yeah.
But yeah, she said something about him staying behind to fix the stabilizers or whatever. Because it's like,
yeah.
I get the impression that the ship's always falling apart.
Yeah.
Something always needs to be fixed.
No, I feel like he's where he wants to be at that point.
Definitely, yeah.
What did you think of that Luke didn't sense any duplicity in the BIMs? And it does turn out to be a big trap. So, what went wrong there, do you think?
Right.
I know. I thought that was a little weird. He couldn't
Maybe he just has a lot on his mind. Yeah, maybe just lots going on.
That is
He's
a very
right.
Luke thing.
He's distracted. A lot of things going on. Obi-Wan just said goodbye. His sister's pregnant.
Yeah.
He has the weight of the building a government on him.
Yeah.
Being the religious powerhouse.
And Luke does struggle with focusing on the present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How big of a role does Luke play in rebuilding this republic, though?
He is the only Jedi.
Right, but is he a member of the government, or is he just Luke? Is he just like their Jedi consul, basically?
I think he's more of a figurehead.
Yeah. What I
okay.
imagine is like the relationship between the Pope and the kings or emperors of old Europe.
Okay.
He's a religious figurehead that provides moral counsel and
Okay.
and whatever for
Senses
the,
bad vibes in Coruscant.
Like a chaplain or something.
for the Republic. And it's like a human lie detector as well, almost, to... I don't know. That would be the philosophical kings, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's good, though, yeah. He's like their religious consul.
Yeah. Hey, so I have a question. And like chapter 2 was mentioned, Luke had to go through and like sense bad vibes or like the presence of Palpatine in the temple on Coruscant. What do you think a Jedi exorcism looks like? Do they have Force holy water?
I was thinking meditation too.
Yeah, meditation.
I think it doesn't look like much. I think it probably just looks like someone walking around.
Okay, Dave Filoni, if you are listening, you need to make a Jedi exorcism episode in anything someday, maybe Tales of the Jedi. Because I would really enjoy to see something like that in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Maybe it looks like the cover where Joruus C'baoth has got light shooting out of his fingers. He's just like standing there.
He's expelling the dark side.
Yeah.
A paranormal show where they're hunting ghosts, but it's just a Jedi.
They're hunting ghosts on Korriban. Yeah.
Force Ghostbusters.
So the Sith, they had alchemy, but the Jedi don't seem to have their own version of that. It does seem very individualistic, very monks in the temple and the top of the mountain kind of things. Whereas the Sith seem more like the witch doctors and schemers.
More active.
Yeah.
Jedi seem more like clerics or paladins or something, but yeah, the Sith seem more like witch doctors or necromancers.
So, see, I think that as you might have mentioned, that what's going on is going to be very internal, not external. There's not going to be a lot of show of like throwing incense around or whatever. It's going to be kind of astral projection.
I mean, some things will get thrown. This is the Force.
Astral projection into a memory that is living in that place. That's what I imagine.
That would be really cool, honestly. Yeah. Anyway, just a thought.
When they were in the markets, there was a BIM that was gesticulating at them with trying to draw their attention to some carving knives.
Yeah.
Do you think he saw something going on and was like, hey, don't you need a weapon? These guys are coming up on you. Would you like something to defend yourself?
I didn't feel like that. I thought it was more like just, like, hey, check out these pretty Cutco knives.
Yeah, that was the impression I got too.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to signal them, just for the fact that, like, of all wares to be sewing, to be like, hey, you should really look at these knives on this planet that doesn't allow weapons.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't technical, but
Well,
yeah.
That kind of point of information did seem a little bit too convenient. Like, you could defend yourself with these things, not like, oh, hey, these are our traditionally woven cloaks.
Check out this woven rug.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a bit of foreshadowing on the author's part.
Could be.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think you're going to defend yourself with a knife against a Stogly stick, but the Bim may not have known.
Yeah,
Bim
no,
didn't know that.
How far can you throw your
yeah.
How far can you throw your knife? Because this thing's shooting 200 meters.
Yeah.
Why does there need to be so many of them? Because they said that there were 10 of them, and they were all about 10 meters apart in a circle around them, right?
Well, they had to take basically a Jedi and Leia, who's kind of part of a Jedi.
Well, no, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, Nick, that why are they even that close if they can shoot at 200 meters?
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a crowded marketplace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they probably don't want to have a lot of collateral damage with their Stogly sticks shooting,
But
Spider-Man.
then also,
webbing.
why are they standing in a circle? Are they going to net their allies?
Well, they're trying to herd them towards an area that they can then capture them. Because I think it's at this
Gotcha.
point it's just intimidation and getting them to
Yeah.
run into a further trap. Because you're just trying to look tough and get them to back down rather than think that they have they might have a chance of struggling, getting away.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on this chapter?
I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, it's. I like the build up. It's definitely more exciting. It feels like it's a little more climactic.
We
Yeah.
just went over the hill on the roller coaster, like I said. No,
Yeah.
let's keep going. Yeah.
Got some good build up.
Yeah.
This has been the Lost Holocron. You can find transcripts, links to discussions, and more at our website, lostholocron.com. While you're there, you can learn how to support the creation of future episodes. Read on, and we will be waiting for you in the next transmission. We would be honored if you would join us.